Hello and welcome to another Schoology tutorial on how to use rubrics in your course of study. Now that we have created rubrics under the gradebook and grade setup categories or area, we can now use those rubrics and apply them to discussions or quizzes or assignments inside of your course. So I've already gone ahead and created a couple of each of those assignments, so I can show you how to add those rubrics to those assignments. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and click on the edit button of my assignment here. You'll know it's an assignment because it has a little pencil tool over the assignment. And once I'm in my editing window, you'll see I have a choice for a scale or rubric for grading. I'd have to add a category to it in order to be able to grade it. And now, once I click on this pull-down menu, numeric is just giving it a point total out of 100 points, and I can just assign a number based on that. I can make this any total number I want. But if I want to use my rubric that I created a short response rubric. I'm going to add this. So now this assignment, or this essay submission in this case, it's an assignment, is going to have this rubric assigned to it. I might even use my extended response rubric because it is I called it an essay assignment. So whatever it is you've used, it's even going to show you the learning objectives, which are the categories you created inside that rubric, or the criteria. So I have overall, text, evidence, organization, and conventions. You have a couple options here. You can click on this, or this is the default. It will show this rubric to students. So when they are actually in the assignment on their iPad or on whatever web browser they use as a student, they will see what that rubric looks like. I think that's a great choice. You obviously want your students to know what they're being assessed on, so why not have them see it? If you click on this little rubric button, it will show you the rubric you made. So mine has the categories here and the different parts of it. I can click save and it's there, and that's something I can just make sure it's the right rubric based on what I named it. If I go ahead and click save changes, now you'll see that this is assigned to it. It's going to show up on the bottom, and those are my little categories that would be the kind of grading piece there. So that I have assessed using a rubric now, or I could assess using a rubric. Discussions are very similar. I'll click on into my discussions. I have a book club discussion here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the gear button again and edit this discussion. And you'll notice on the bottom, discussions typically aren't graded unless you want to grade them. So I'm going to click on the enable grading option. And you'll notice that same window pops up. I'm going to give it a category. I am then going to go ahead and choose my rubric, and I'll choose my short response rubric for this one. And I'll make sure it's shown to students, and I'll go ahead and see this. Yep, that's the one I want. I'm going to click save, and now, again, I can now grade any student's responses in a discussion board using that rubric. So we'll look at and see what that looks like at a later, after I have a submission here. But for now, at least we know that this was assigned to that book club discussion, and I can grade using a rubric, which is quick, and I can just click on some of those choices. So that's how discussions are graded, or you add a rubric to a discussion. And the last option is a quiz. And if you've set up a quiz in Schoology before, you'll know that you can create multiple choices, questions, you can create short answers, essays, a bunch of different things. I'll show you what you can add your rubric to. You do not use the gear button here to go to edit, because when you create questions, you have to do it inside of the actual quiz. And now I'm in questions and settings. You have these options up top. So I'm going to now use the gear button here to edit my questions. You'll notice right now it's a short answer essay question. Obviously a multiple choice question doesn't need a rubric. I'm going to go ahead and edit this question. I've written my question up here, and on the bottom you'll see that I have options for grading. I'm going to choose a rubric here. I'm going to choose my short response rubric. It's a 2-point rubric, right? 0, 1, 2. Did they get it? Did they kind of get it? Did they not get it? It makes it a 2-point question. I'm having it shown to students so they can see it, and I'm going to save it. Now you'll notice that I have my little category here taken care of, and it's going to show that a rubric's attached to it, because this little gray box that has the different areas of that rubric pop up is there, just like it did with the assignment or the discussion board. I'm going to do the same thing with my essay now. I have an essay question on the bottom. This is an essay question, so I'm going to change it. This is for printing options. I just like changing all those things anyway, so I know. I am going to use my extended response rubric. I'm going to look and make sure that's the correct rubric. I'll notice it's a 14-point rubric. So what I'm going to do is just change this to a 14-point total question, just so kids know that's kind of what it's out of. And you'll know that the learning objectives are attached because they're here. If I hit save, I am now sure that I have a rubric attached because it has my different, little criteria that I added to my rubric to it. It's a subjective question, obviously, so I have to grade that, and I'm all set. I've now added my rubric to my short response and my extended response. So that's the assignments in Schoology, the discussions and the quizzes that you can add rubrics to, and that is how you add a rubric to each of those. Again, remember, we made those rubrics at a later point, or at an earlier point. We've made sure our rubrics were exactly how we wanted them to be for this course. And we then now assigned them to some assignments, discussions, and quizzes. The next tutorial, we'll talk about how to get into an assignment once things are submitted, a discussion, once discussions are posted, or even once a quiz is taken, how you can use these rubrics to grade.